Virtual Advisory Clinic, VAC, or MEPN. Are you facing difficulties in operating your business due to the impact of COVID-19 pandemic? Are you worried about the future of your company? And you are not sure where to refer for advice? Well, the Machinery and Equipment Productivity Nexus, MEPN, is ready to facilitate you in providing guidance. MEPN was set up to improve the productivity of firms, sector, and the country. The solutions came from industry and the private and public partnership of MEPN. We invite you to join the MPC Virtual Advisory Clinic for machinery and equipment. Experienced industry advisors will be there to guide you. Contact us and we will see you virtually using online meeting for 1 hour. And together, we will work with you to find solutions to your challenges. Do contact MPC Advisory Clinic for machinery and equipment, MEPN, at mpc.gov.my.
Good afternoon to all. My name is K.S. Yoong. Welcome to our webinar called Shortcut to Business Profitability by Field Service Management. And I'm your moderator today. My name is K.S. Yoong. Okay, I'm a committee member within the Machinery and Engineering Federation, and also a subject matter expert within the MEPN. Okay. And what I'll do is that I will do a short run through what is the program for today. And I will do a quick introduction in terms of the MEPN, MEIF, and so on, and MPC, of course. And then we will do a quick poll, on the subject that we are discussing today. And then we will introduce Mr. Peng Sian. He's a director from ITA Group, and he will share with us some experience that he has with the field service management. And that will be followed by a presentation by Mr. John Lee, who is actually a founder from Good Works Technology. And we have some chance to ask some questions later after the presentation. Okay. Once again, good afternoon to everyone. And I would actually just go straight into some introduction. Okay. MEPN. MEPN stands for Machinery and Equipment Productivity Nexus. This is actually established by the Malaysian government in 2018 with a view to improve the productivity, the overall productivity in the country. In total, there are more than 10 nexuses that have been set up. It started off with 9, I believe, and then since then, more nexuses have been added to. And in our case, our nexus is under the machinery and equipment, which is a very broad field. Okay, and the mission of this MEPN is basically to try to enhance the productivity in the machinery and equipment sector. Okay, and the major thrust for this particular MEPN is that we are actually leveraging on the private sector instead of just purely from a government sector to push for this. It is actually a collaboration between the private sector and the government sector. Okay, and the channel for us to channel the MEPN, most of the MEPN activities is being channeled through a federation. And this is the federation called the Machinery and Engineering Industry Federation. And in short, it is called MEIF. And under MEIF, it consists of 9 associations and also 1 tertiary education establishment. And the whole project under the MEPN and MEIF Minister Program is being managed through the Malaysia Productivity Corporation, MPC. So I hope that gives you a bit of a background. And just a quick view on the right-hand side of your screen, you see that these are the various associations under the MEIF Federation. So it includes people in automation, in electrical and electronics, mold and die, SME, Crane Operators and Owners Association. We have a small medium enterprise, and we also have the aerospace industries, and of course we have UniKL, and so that there are all members within the Engineering Federation. I'll move on. Okay, the Productivity Nexus is actually being championed by Mr. Mek An Woon. He is also the president of the Machinery and Engineering Industry Federation. And Mr. Mek is also the head of Mohiba Engineering Berhad. And how the Nexus operate is that we have got forward groups looking after the various issues that are common to the industries, talent and manpower, which cut across all industries. Productivity and efficiency, this again cut across all industries. But most importantly, the MEIF and also the MEPN emphasis has been on the SME, because SME by far, they make up in terms of number, they make up the highest number of members. Within over 75% of the members are SMEs. Hence, the focus is actually on them. And we also have another work group that looks at ecosystem, policies, and so on. And so this actually forms a bridge between the private sector and the government in case there's any particular red tape, bureaucracy that is actually standing in the way of productivity, then it gets brought up. And as you can see, we have, apart from the association, we also have the active participation from METI, from EPU, from Matrix, SIRIM, HRD Corp, and of course, MIDA. So, by the way, if you have got any questions, you can actually just, type in some of the questions for us, and then we try to answer them at the appropriate time. Okay, thank you. I'll move on. Now, let's get back to the purpose of today's, the main core topics for today's webinar, which is field service management. And I think that service excellence and customer satisfaction, we all know that these are actually quite important to our business. The issue, the point is, it's easy to say, but it's difficult to deliver. Because, when you are actually trying to provide quality service, and trying to appease customer satisfaction, we encounter many problems. And so some of the common issues associated, standing in between us delivering what we like to deliver, this is something that we want to tackle during this webinar today. And, we have been told that it is actually not easy to manage field services. Now, the difference between field service and service is really this. Field service refers mainly to services that are delivered outside your normal business premises. You have to send technicians to go and to attend to equipment, in the field. Classic examples is some office equipment. We are all familiar with photocopier and all this stuff. Now, field service can even include something that is simple as a water filter serviceman that comes to your home. Okay, that is also field service. But anyway, that is actually the topic today. We have got a couple of experts to try to share with us their experience. And so this is really what the webinar is about. Okay. Now, before we dive into the actual presentation, I would like to invite you to answer a few questions. We will just take about 3 minutes to answer this question. There are 3 questions here. And Raman, can you actually help me with the poll questions? Yeah. And if you could, just quickly indicate there what is important, what you think that is important, and so on, and we will share these things. No. Good, keep it coming. Very good. Okay, we will give another 10 seconds before we will close this particular question. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, we close this particular poll. I think that the takeaway here, as we can see, just the result here is that, you know, almost 100% of the participant feels that, you know, service is actually very important to your business sustainability. You know, in total, you know, more than 90% of the participant think that it is actually essential and very important. In fact, everyone thinks that it's very important. Okay, we'll go to the next question, please. Okay, now this one here, you know, we just like to get a bit of an idea as what are the common issues that you face, you know, in providing service, whether it's field service or service in general, you know. Do you agree with the comment? We try hard, but customer not satisfied, you know. We keep buying things and not enough, okay. Okay, keep it coming, keep it coming. Only half the people has responded, and you know, it will help us greatly if we invite some of the others to actually, you know, please put in your answers, because that will give us some encouragement, some indication as what we are the direction that we should be focused on in terms of our discussion, you know. Okay, we'll give it another 10 seconds for this question. Okay, Raman, I think that we can, again, I think that thank you for those who has actually put in the question, because it looks like we feel that, you know, all of the above are also quite common, but we try hard, but customers are not satisfied seems to be the most common thing. In other words, customer satisfaction is actually more challenging for us to reach. Okay, we'll go to the third question. Thank you, Raman. Okay, this one we want to drill down from your perspective. Why is it hard to actually deliver the customer satisfaction? You know, is it because not enough people? Is it because there are dispute after the work is done? You know, difficulty in keeping track, and hard to get the information, and so on. You know, and again, we would appreciate your answers. Okay, we'll, you know, again, we'll give ourselves another 10 seconds or so just to get the number of answers. Okay, thank you very much for your input. I think that the general consensus based on the feedback that we've got is that field service is very important, you know, and managing customer satisfaction is challenging. And also, most of us feel some challenges in terms of delivering the question. Okay, and with that in mind, we will move on. Raman, I'll move on now. Okay, I think that just now during the brief poll, we all agree that field service is customer service is important. And on the screen here, you see a slide that I've actually extracted from from the internet. Basically, you know, this is general. The trend is actually in line. About 86% of the customer will actually be prepared to pay slightly more for better service. In fact, I would just like to relate an example. In the case of some of the capital equipment, that is what we call mission critical, meaning that the equipment is very, very important. If we stop, it actually affect the operation very significantly. There are people who are prepared to actually make the decision, the purchase decision, based on the quality of the service that is available. Okay, so 86% is important. And the other thing is, over 70% of the customers are saying that if they're happy, they're well treated, they like to come back and buy the business. Okay, so I think that this just go to emphasize that it's consistent with the feedback. Thank you for your feedback. It's consistent with the feedback that we got. That customer service is important. Now, one of the area where the customers is actually get pretty annoyed is if you cannot achieve what we call the fixed time fixed rate, meaning that if they call for a service, you attend to the service and then you are unable to fix the problem the first time and they have to go back repeatedly. This is really where a lot of dispute comes in. Okay, this is a common issue that is faced. And again, this is just a little bit of an analysis, and typically, parts availability is actually a problem. About 30% of this low fix first time fix is actually due to they don't have the appropriate parts or not the right parts with them. Asset, they don't have the right tools or they cannot get reach to the asset. And incorrect diagnosis, the people who go there are not able to actually diagnose the problem correctly and fix the problem the first time. They have to go back and ask for somebody else. The engineers or the people who attend to it, they may not have the right skill. It may be a mechanical problem, but the thing is someone, with the electrical background go there and then they find that, oh, this is not their area of comfort and they are unable to resolve the problem. Some of them is that, oh, I'll just fix the thing temporarily, but I have to come back again. So these are all the causes to a very low first-time fix rate. Now, usually when the dispute occurs with invoices, a lot of the time it came about because customers get angry because they got to go there many times, okay? And the problem are not resolved. Okay, I'll move on. And what I'll do is that set the scene. We all know that customer service is important. Managing service quality is important. And so with that, we have got with us, our first speaker. I would like to introduce your first speaker today is Mr. Peng Sian. Mr. Lee is a very experienced engineer. He is also the executive director and chief operating officers within the ETA Resource Berhad. He is the COO of the E&E Group. He is also the Honorary Secretary to the Electrical and Electronic Association of Malaysia, TEEAMS. Okay, I would actually hand over the presentation to Mr. Lee, okay, who will share with you his experience with field service. Over to you, Mr. Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Yoong. Thank you, Mr. Moderator, Mr. Yoong, and thanks MPC for hosting this good collective learning platform for us to actually cross-learning from each other and for the better Malaysia. Of course, the title itself, it could be a little bit confusing because it might be misleading. Is there really a shortcut? But I think this is a very sensitive word when it comes to the shortcut. But certainly from our perspective, we have gone through quite a fair bit of those initiatives that I'll take the liberty to share with you, hoping that you do not have to go through those hassles that we have gone through. So you can actually hit straight to the point and then be productive. So to begin this sharing session, I think it is easier to for the audience to watch a short corporate video of us, so to understand the operation. So I'm going to play you a corporate video, which is about 4 minutes plus.
We are driven by passion to exceed our customers' expectation. We at ETA Elevator Malaysia Sendirian Berhad brings to you our promise to transport people safely and comfortably. ETA Elevator, being part of ETA Resources, we are the only homegrown elevator manufacturing company listed in the Kuala Lumpur Stock Exchange. Our very own ETA Schneider brand of elevators and escalators with our own design, technology and innovation has gained recognition and market acceptance. We offer a wide range of products, escalators and travelators, or goods, passenger, home and dumb waiters, making us the preferred choice both locally and internationally. Our strength is our ability to customize to meet clients' unique requirements, together with the assurance of product quality, safety, and reliability. We have a proven track record in project delivery, ranging from government complexes and major infrastructure projects like MRT and KTMB Railway, as well as universities and medical centers, to high-rise condominiums and commercial buildings that span the length and breadth of Peninsular Malaysia, Sabah and Sarawak. We have spread our wings beyond Malaysian shores with ever-increasing project installations in Thailand, Philippines, Singapore and other ASEAN countries, and also in the Middle East. Each and every project is treated with care and professionalism. It is our mark of commitment. At EETA Elevators, we take great pride in having developed close working relationships with our clients and partners in the successful completion and delivery of projects together, on time, on budget, and with the expected quality. Apart from fulfilling design and engineering requirements, why we stand out, it is our services. Pre-inspections are carried out where all main components are tested and programmed in Malaysia before being shipped to customers. Even after installation, a noise and vibration assessment is carried out to ensure ride comfort prior to client handover. EETA Elevators' wide network of service centers carry out regular preventive maintenance and inspection with support capabilities that enable fast response to breakdowns and customer needs. This is further complemented by our independent quality control teams conducting periodic site audits. As time passes, elevators in all buildings will show obvious signs of wear and tear. EETA Elevators Modernization Department provides refurbishment and upgrade services to give these elevators a new lease in life in improved safety and ride comfort. Our own EETA Research and Development subsidiary is focused on continuous product innovation and improvements to give us the competitive edge. This is further reinforced with the R&D status granted by the government. The test tower at our new manufacturing facility further enhances our technological efforts to move people in safer and more efficient ways. We are committed to quality. We aim to move further forward into the future through technology and innovation, such as by going green in focusing on energy-efficient solutions. This would allow EETA Elevator to stay competitive and earn greater customer satisfaction. We are committed to bring good feel to life by delivering on our promise.
Thank you for your attention. That it was just shouted there that we transport people safely. So the safety is actually very paramount. So what constitutes to customer satisfaction? This is very interesting when I see through just now the feedback. There was this one part that you will definitely make customer very happy because it's the paperwork. If you can do all the work, and then if you do not do the paperwork, you do not bill your customer will be very, very happy. And your boss would be absolutely furious over that, right? So that is a mismatch between this is the customer's satisfaction versus the employer's satisfaction. Of course, customer is always having this mentality. If they say is a product cheap, if it is not free, can you do the service that they're fast if it is not instantaneous? So this is always the mentality of the customer that is very difficult to catch up. And for us, we're also migrating from even you can see from our logo itself, we mentioned that previously was taking the lead, which is we're very inward looking, that we are the one that reach out, taking the lead. And we also reoriented ourselves to bring good views to life, so that we put the customer in the front end, so that we can be a little bit more focused on this area. So now, when you take a closer look, what exactly that if the customer really only want cheap and it's a fast, I think if you take a closer look, there is something else that we need to pay attention to. In fact, customer really appreciate the response, right? And the problem resolved, right? If it is not now, but you give them the solution, when is the problems going to be resolved? And they will really appreciate the update and the transparency, right? Don't hide problem from the customer. And the visibility of the follow-up and all the initiatives. So all in all, if this is what the customer aspect, it actually boils down to one very important point. It's the connection between the vendor and the customer. So what sort of a connection? So is the through what kind of a platform? Is it a paper? Is it the verbal? Or I think it's very difficult today to actually demand our employee to actually deliver the similar kind of the outcome or similar kind of a quality and consistent to the customer. So hence it is actually very paramount to capitalize on certain kind of a platform to actually standardize some of these things. So it happens to be that the next speaker is actually speaking on is from the sales connection. So that actually that's a coincidence, John. I'm making I don't own any share there, so I'm not giving you a free advertisement on that. Sorry. Okay, let's for our journey. For elevator business, we actually after 15 years, we started in 1998 for our first elevator installation, and after about good 15 years, then we in 2014 we start to realize that we have a lot of a customer base and we have a lot of the database. That is this pool of resources is the how do we better capitalize on it? And then we believe that we need to capitalize on the technology to help us better run the operation. So that's how we start to explore into this journey of the so-called field service management. So we actually explore quite comprehensively. You can see that we look at the CRM database. We talk about the contract module, the service module, the quotation module, callback reporting, machine database, accessibility, and so on. And including the last one, which is the people hate it so much, is the mapping. You know why they hate it? Because if you go minimum edited mama, it will show that you are at the mama store instead of a customer's place. So you say, no, this is you're intruding my personal privacy. So that is not good, right? But anyway, they put it in a very nice way. It consumes a lot of battery on the device. So because in the constant tracking, so it is not efficient. So this is some of the first journey when we deploy ourselves that into the challenges is that actually despite the fact we actually put a lot of effort to not to fall into this, we call it a valley of death. When you try to deploy any kind of software system, we always have this word, this phrase, say, valley of death, because you could go through that kind of a learning curve and before you can become efficient and productive. So, but despite we pay so much of attention that we still get ourselves into some of the challenges. This is inclusive, like integration with the accounting system. Yeah, you have a one field service that is here, and you have an accounting system that is there. And then how do you get them to talk to each other? one is speaking Tamil, one is speaking in the Chinese, and then they don't talk to each other. And today, I think John will give you a better solution for that. The limited capability, and then a lot of the time during way back in the 2014, all our systems are actually localized. During then, we don't talk so much about the synchronization or cloud-based or whatever, right? And it makes worse when you come every now and then when your iPhone updated, the new iOS comes out, and then when you have a Windows I still remember I started with Windows 5 or whatever. Today is Windows 10, and then you have a Windows CE, all sorts of Windows, and then until that you cannot see the sky, that is the window is shut. So, and then when you have an upgrade, it means additional costs, and you require all sort of update again, right? I'm very certain that those online, every one of you go through the similar thing. And you have so much of a limitation of the storage. Where on earth that you talk about the terabyte of a storage? During then, you have a 100 meg storage is already very axy already. Now today, 1 gig, one video is already more than a gig. And then how are you going to do the storage? So that is also another challenge. And then we talk about compatibility. Okay, this person is taking the JPEG, the other one is a PNG, the next person come back with the Excel. Wow, to put all this in different format together is really a big issue. And it makes worse is to see when you talk about the hardware upgradability, right? When you upgraded some of the processor, right? I still remember we'll talk about i3 today. i3, does it still exist? It has to be minimum i6 and above. So these are some of the things that we actually went through. Of course, well, for the lesson that we learned, we went through another upgrading. So we went into in the 2018. So we get ourselves into the more comprehensive system, which is on this resource planning, right? As you can see that all the 7 different modules, it covers the CRM, HRM, then the product, sales, finance, procurement, and inventory, and so forth and so on, right? So, but does it really solve it? Right? Let me show you some of these things. So let's focus on because this is to talk about the field service. Let's look at the number 5, the service. The service that well, you talk about it probably serve all this detail, and then you have a repair and replacement. Then you can actually easily use the system to track it. You have a safety and quality that you need to check, and then make sure that it complies and then to the regulation. And the callback is actually the service quality that you provide. And then, of course, the last thing, more important thing is to say, remember to bill whatever work that is not free of charge, right? So all these things are actually part and parcel of the bigger system that it comes about. Then, of course, when you go back to the number 1 and number 2 is basically the CRM side that wow, the bigger system has a lot of ability to accommodate all these things, which I'm not going to go through, but it certainly covers all these things. But I just want to highlight some of this kind of a challenge. A lot of the time, it's all about people, right? So HRM tend to be one of the very important thing. And then if we think that all the big system can do the work, it might not be totally true, which I want to tell you the fact here. The HRM, we can do all sort of employee leave or pay claim or whatever. So it's the perfect system that they can go actually very suitable for the virtual kind of work from home system. But however, that when it comes to the payment system, right, for all the payout to the payroll, all these things, we thought that all this comprehensive system will do the work, but it is not. Because a lot of this huge system, they are built in according to the European or American way of the default. So when you try to customize it according to the Malaysian operation, you tend to see a lot of a shortcoming with different kind of challenges appear. So, well, big is good, but it's not necessary to be solving all the problems. Sometimes we do require some kind of customized system. So on this second wave, actually the challenges just continue, where you have the system administration issues such as the access right, because it's okay, it's a nice system, a lot of information. I also want to be part of the, I must be given the right to see everything. So that is the human tendency that they want to get the access right, whether it makes sense to them. They don't care. Very strong workflow, yes, but you fall back into the human tendency, right? Hey, I'm not a clerk. I'm not a person who do the data entry. I'm an engineer. Why you ask me to do all these kind of a data entry? So, well, human tendency, the data entry, the habit of a work, and also that a lot of the time that you do in the daytime, all sort of work, you face the customer, you go back, before you face the wife, you got to do the data entry. Well, so that's the challenge. And we expect a lot of customization of a workflow, because we thought that the system can do wonders. So we want a lot of customization, and that is where the next challenge will come in. Interfacing with the other administration software, right? Accounting is one of it. Today, there are so many different kind of productivity software that comes about, that interfacing becomes another challenge. Of course, all the customization will come with the additional cost. The most important thing it still doesn't solve is personal privacy. Everybody says that is my right, that you should not intrude into me. I think in fact, a lot of people get this kind of a misconception. In fact, so long you are connected, we are naked, right? So it didn't really have to go into this particular concern, actually. Well, after that, in the year 2000, we actually get into, get in sales connection into a very specific area. As they say that the big systems, sometimes they're not doing too well in a certain area. So we work on the local vendor to provide us with the much more target-based solution. And that actually helped us a fair bit, right? I wouldn't do too much sales talk for you, John. So you will explain it slightly later. Right, but does it mean that all the problems solved? Sorry to say that, John, the problem is still not happy ever after, because all challenges will never end. We still have the accessibility right. We still have there's so much of the data. What do you make sense of the data, right? So it just keep on storing there, and nobody is going to look at it, right? And the scope of a work, as I say, that the job definition become different, and then this is how to apply it under the new norm. So all in all, it's all about human factor. So that is the human factor is still something that is almost impossible to address it, but we just need to keep on persevere and communicate. And the other part of it is, of course, the system infrastructure, right? We'll continue to have this compatibility, upgradability, and integration problem. And also the expectation of the operator and the customer. I thought you have a very good system, and then why you don't know that how much you have billed me? How come you do not know that my system is currently at what status? So these are different kind of expectation from the client as well. So I'm just going to show you my last slide here. It is whatever it says that that's life. That we only start to solve all our problems when we're about to lie 6 feet under. But whatever it is, that is a part of our job to resolve problem, right? The most important thing here is how do we look at this kind of a situation positively, right? Because we believe that big data and preventive maintenance is the add-on to the customer satisfaction, and that's definitely going to be the future, and it's going to be now and the future. So the people is just continually talking about the uptime versus the downtime. They're not interested in how many minutes that is the down. How can you continue keeping up the uptime so that I can continue to operate without any kind of a problem? So for that we actually trying to go into the era with the trying to hook up all the ECG in here. You put the equipment with all sort of a sensor that you can monitor, and you can actually tell that before the system go down or going to have a trouble, that you give a pre-warning so that you can maintain the uptime. So in fact, the second point is they just want to correct some mentality. In actual fact, don't worry about the privacy anymore. We are naked, and then in fact, so long you're on the internet, somebody else knowing better than what we know ourselves, right? So this is the era. We just need to be connected, and the instantaneous diagnosis, and with a higher visibility. This is exactly what we think that is moving on. And last but not least, we think that FSM is definitely an enabler to better preventive maintenance. Right. I'll end here. Back to you, Mr. Yoong.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. And I will actually now go back to my screen. Just allow me to get a bit organized. Okay, I think that Mr. Lee has given us a very good sharing into the ITAS Group's journey, in their FSM journey. It certainly has not been easy. I think that, given the various legacy systems that were available at that time, it is actually quite challenging, especially when you talk about the constant change in terms of the hardware and the software and so on. But I think that essentially, Mr. Lee also mentioned to us that service excellence and customer satisfaction, it is so important. It goes hand in hand, which is consistent with what we have already spoken about. Okay, and I think that he shared with us the very valuable lessons that they have learned, or that ITA Group has actually gone through. What they had to do to actually improve the customer service and also the service excellence. I think that this is actually a very opportune time for us to then reflect back and say that, yes, it is important. It is important to get it right, but it is not easy. It has many, many challenges. But the thing is, if you do the homework and if you're committed to get the result, actually, it is actually possible to have a better system and help us to deliver what we hope to deliver. But what are the problems, the biggest problem that Mr. Lee has mentioned just now? Basically, if you look at the left-hand side, we have got all these different modules. In fact, ERP system, we have a CRM system, HR system, payroll system, accounting system, so on and so forth. But the thing is, on the other side, we have got a lot of work-related, we have got data, we've got a lot of data, but the thing is, they are all in little pockets, they are in silos. It's how do you get them to talk to one another? How do you make sure that the access is available? This is actually the challenge. And I'm pleased to say that, the other problem that we have in some of the companies here is many of the companies, this is what they look like, their product support and their system looks like. They work with the different discrete components. They've got WhatsApp, they use email, they use a scheduling board, they use a lot of Excel, data entry using Excel, then they create paper forms and so on and so forth. So what happened is that all these things, if they are not able to talk to one another, like what Mr. Lee has mentioned earlier on, And so you end up with all the crosses, the red crosses that you see, inefficient, is inaccurate, you know, it is not consistent, you know, it is slow, you get miscommunication and all this. All those things leads to low customer satisfaction, low productivity, low staff morale, and so on and so forth. In fact, I like Mr. Lee's example when you say that, you know, you still got to do the data entry before you go home, you know, and this happened to things like claims, for example, you know. So it is actually quite challenging, but fret not. I think that fortunately, given the sort of, as the technology develop and also as the hardware and software gets better, you know, the barrier of entry for us to get into a workable system has been lowered significantly. You don't need a mainframe computer to do these things, you know, and field service today as a service is actually, you know, the field service as a service, meaning that, you know, you have got solution as a service that you can actually subscribe to help you to manage your field services. It is now much more readily accessible, you know, and also it is actually relatively affordable, okay? And so what we hope to do is actually to enhance the customer satisfaction, you know, through a modern field service solution. And this really brings me to the next speaker, you know, Mr. John Lee Man Yen. Okay, he's the director and the founder of a company called Good Works Technologies in Sdn Bhd. And one of the products that they've come up with is actually called Sales Connection. And Sales Connection provide us with actually an app-based sort of a solution that actually allow us to address some of the challenges and the pain that Mr. P.S. Lee was actually referring to in order to deliver the field service excellence. So without further ado, I would actually hand over to Mr. John Lee, and he will share with you the field service service management solution, or one of the solutions anyway. Okay, over to you, John. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Yoong. Hi, Mr. Lee. Good afternoon to you, our fellow friends from MPC and MEPN as well. Our fellow guests today, good afternoon to you. Now, as today has been a very interesting time, if you saw just now during the session, I've been smiling, and because, you know, when you hear what Mr. Yoong is sharing and what Mr. Lee is sharing, right, you can see that these are really very experienced users of systems. The examples that they said, for example, Ms. Lee was saying that, the problems that even if an iPhone update, then the app got problem. These are actually very, very common issues. And so if you want to know more about field service and how all these things work, you can actually go and buy him a drink, you know, and then sit down with him and he can tell you more about it. But today what we want to do is to share with you, you know, despite all these different things that Mr. Lee has gone through with EETA as well, why does he continue doing it? Why does he still want to go through this process of doing field service digitization? There's a reason behind it. And so before I begin, let me just quickly explain, share a bit of our company over here, what we do here. Sales Connection, or our company is basically focused on CRM and field service. These are two things we focus on. So in short, if you have salespeople, because servicemen, technicians, engineers that don't work in the office, they go outside to meet their clients, for example, from elevator industry, they're from maybe photocopy industry, you sell power equipment, anything that you need to be serviced, right? The system that we have helps you to do it. And so there's always a very big misconception between the different systems that are available. Some people say, I got ERP, done already. But when you start using ERP, you realize that, hey, not true. Why? Because ERP is more used for manufacturing purposes. It's more for the back office. It's actually for within the office itself, for within the manufacturing shop itself. But for things that are happening outside the office, you need a different system. And this system is called the field service system. And for salespeople, it's called CRM. Now, so let me just quickly share with you a quick introduction of a video of Sales Connection to let you see what the system can do and what type of, how does field service work. And after that, we're going to continue. So let me just get the video up for you. All right, let me just play this video. It's just about 2 minutes.
Ever dreamt of a day where you could successfully close every single sale opportunity? Of a time when you could have full visibility of your business operations and performance? That day is here. Welcome to Sales Connection. an integrated business management system providing innovative solutions for businesses. Trusted by SMEs and MNCs alike across Asia. Everything you need. From managing your sales opportunities, digitizing your servicing business, customer relations, and a personal digital assistant for all your team members. Use intelligent business metrics to answer any question you could possibly have about your business's performance. Enjoy seamless team collaboration with progress and arrival updates, and communicate with your field employees from anywhere, as if you are right next to them. Use digital forms to generate service sheets, receive service ratings from customers, and gain signatures either remotely or in person. With everything from HR processes being simplified and remote team collaboration digitized, you can now focus on business that matters. Sales Connection. It's business as usual, anywhere you are.
So that was a very quick introduction of Sales Connection for you to see what we do. And that's what a field service system is supposed to be able to do, to handle a lot of issues that you have that's happening outside of your office. Now, the question is always, when we talk to customers, the question they have is, why do I need to digitize? Or they wonder, what's so important about it? So let me show you this book over here. Have you seen this book before? If you have, give me a yes over here in the chat as well. This book is actually a very important book. If you've been working since maybe 1995 to the year 2010, you would definitely have this book, right? You definitely have this book one. So Jianwei, hello Jianwei. Yeah, Jianwei has actually gotten this book before. So this book is a very important book. You know what it is? This is the most important book that all salespeople, all engineers, technicians need. Why? Because this book brings you to places. So this is actually the old ways. Before you use Waze, this is what people have. Now, do people still use this book now? No, right? The world has changed. So last time, if you use this book, you go around before you want to go anywhere. One of the skills needed for salespeople is you must know how to drive around and know Klang Valley like the back of your hands. That's what is required. But world has changed. From this map, they went on to Garmin, and Garmin was really very good. It's able to do a lot of things. But people keep on changing, and now we are all using Waze. I am very sure that all of you would have Waze inside your phones, right? If not, you have Google Maps, one of these things. Now, why do we do that? The answer is because Waze gives us something that the book doesn't give us. So number one, for example, it gives us easy location search. If you're finding out, for example, you don't know where the location is, you just type the name, how to go to this famous restaurant. Immediately, it give you the directions you can go. You can avoid the traffic jam. The book cannot do it, right? Car assistance. So when you're driving, you can even daydream a bit. Time to turn right. In 500 meters, turn right. It will tell you. The book cannot do that. And there's real-time updates. If suddenly there's traffic jam, or they will suddenly tell you, you need to immediately turn to the right, because why? The route in front is actually getting more and more jammed. They tell you all this. And finally, you can even share your location to people. Why do we do all this? Because the answer is the world is continuously improving. And your competition is continuously improving. If you imagine your salespeople is using the book compared to the rest using Waze, you see what will happen. The people cannot reach it on time. So therefore, the world is changing, and therefore we have to change together. Now, so is this digitization? The answer is this is not digitization. This is actually called digitalization. The difference is this. Digitization means that I just take the book, I put it onto soft copy. That's called digitization. But when we talk about digitalization, it means that you use IT, you use the digital technologies to actually make work easier for you. That is a key thing. And the word that sometimes we hear about is called human augmentation, meaning that a human is able to do more than a normal human can do. Just like suddenly, without you actually having superpowers, you know that there's going to be a traffic jam in front. I need to turn right. That, in essence, is why people need to use field service systems. Now, a lot of times we talk to bosses, they tell us that actually last time I can do it. The bosses tell me, why I need so much? Last time, one person, I can make all the calls needed, I just use Excel, I use hard copy documents, I can close so many sales, I can do so well. But that was the last time. Nowadays, it's different. When your business is small, one person can do it. You know why? Because talents can win deals. It takes talent to win deals. And this is what the bosses will tell the salespeople, the engineers. You must be good at what you do. Then you can actually win. But friends, when you grow to scale, when you grow at scale, when you try to scale your business, you cannot have the same mentality. Why? Because the number of things you need to do has actually increased exponentially. It's no longer just linear, it's exponential. The number of calls, people use WhatsApp, email, so many different things coming in. And so if you do not change, what will happen is this. Your team will go crazy, right? You get very stressed doing their work. And if you don't change it, customers will get more and more unhappy. You get complaints. And if you don't do anything still, profit, sales will actually be gone. And this is the case. You know why? Because it's true. It takes talent to win deals. But more true is this. It takes a great team with the right tools to retain customers. Winning deals is okay, but you need to retain your customers because customers have a lot of value. Now, so field service actually dictates customer lifetime value. Now, I think all of us will understand what is customer lifetime value. It means that this customer, how much can you actually, as long as this customer is still with you, how much can you earn on the long run? That's customer lifetime value. And field service is a key determining factor, like what Mr. Yoong and Mr. Lee has shared before. If people want to actually buy from you, it's because the service is good. If after the first purchase, they find that the service is terrible, they won't buy the second time from you. So no matter what industry you're from, elevator, aircon, maintenance, asset leasing, or even rental, we have a customer actually renting laptops to the entire government sectors in Malaysia. Even all this, field service is needed. And normally, there's a whole list of things you do for your business. From sales management to managing the contract, is it expiring, to installing the equipment, testing it, maintaining it. There's a breakdown, you need to go and service it. Make sure your customer happy and motivate them for next sale. This entire thing, field service is supposed to help you. So this is actually an entire cycle you can see. From the start, sales needs to be handled well. After sales is done, then you have all these different things. And what field service does is it helps you along the entire process. So for example, you should get reminders, right? Telling you that this contract is going to expire, or this lead has been cold already. It's been 90 days. It's time to follow up. Or the next one, increment installation. So what it means is that perhaps when your technician or your engineer goes to install equipment, there's a checklist that they must follow, right? They must checklist. In fact, if they do not follow a checklist, if they don't finish it, they don't take photos and upload it, they cannot continue to the next step. We can do things like that for you. Moving on forward, what are the status of all your jobs? If they're preventive maintenance, we find that it's very important to make sure that you do it. If you don't do it, sometimes regulatory issues can come. So you want to know the status of all your different things as well. And rating. Sometimes, you know, our engineers can tell us that I did a good job. I'm proud of myself. Things are going well. But does the customer say the same? Perhaps it's sometimes we don't see the full picture. So we can ask customers to give rating to us, right? In fact, even if they're not in the office, they can give rating. So you know how they're performing. Alarms can be given when things are urgent. So you can know immediately, oh, there's a breakdown that needs to be attended. So there's a whole suite. And now, what our customers are doing now is actually doing this. What it means is, field service, a conventional field service will only end perhaps just about here, just here. But what we're going to do is, how can we help you to motivate your customers to actually go for the next sale? How can we motivate your customers to buy the next thing? For example, because we have data, we know that this machine that you have is actually more than 10 years. It's time to renew already. Or maybe the toner is actually due for the next change already. We can actually automatically send an SMS or WhatsApp to the customers, or send an alarm or alert to your salespeople to ask them to give them a call, say, hey, you know, this machine that you have, it's time that you do something about it. And all this while, you as a manager is able to find out everything, and everything is at the back of your hands or at the tip of your fingers. You will be in having the control board, seeing everything, what's happening to your business, and that is the visibility that all of us want. Because it's not like at the feedback, a lot of people say, why does work take so long? So a bit of extra sharing, after dealing with so many companies, right, I find a lot of times when work takes long, it's not necessarily the fault of the technicians or the engineers. Again, let me repeat. When work takes long, it's not necessarily the fault of the technician engineers. There's something that is actually jammed here. This wheel is not spinning. There's something that's not jammed here. For example, the customer doesn't want to pay. How to finish your work? So all these are things can be inside, or maybe the spare part is not enough. How to finish your work? But we won't know this unless you have visibility of your business. Yeah, so field service dictates customer lifetime value. Now, there's a whole list of features and things that the system can do, and I can just quickly share a few of them for you to see how it works. So, for example, if you know what your team is doing, you have a calendar. They can see all the different tasks that's happening. So, for example, your team needs to go and visit Hong Leong Bank and do some installation. You can see all the calendar, and they have their own mobile apps to actually do the work as well. Other than that, your salespeople or even your engineers can get details of all the jobs being done, all the service sheets that's actually generated for your customers. So when they click it using a mobile phone, they can actually know everything about the customer that they need. And normally, that's why Mr. Yoong was saying that we need to localize to Malaysian needs. When I talk SMEs, then the boss will say that, is it possible that my engineers only see certain customers because they don't need to see all? Or my salespeople only should see the northern region when they are actually dealing with the southern region, they only should see the southern region. So they shouldn't see all the data. So our system can do all this because it's localized to Malaysia context. These are needs for Malaysians. These are the very normal ones. You want to know where your guys are. So if there's emergency, immediately you know with the check-in, check-out where they are and ask them to help. But please take note, be very, very mindful when you share with your colleagues about this system, because privacy is very important, especially the youngsters. So we tell them, always tell them that when you use a system like this, it only actually takes the GPS when you submit, which means that it's not like it's chasing you everywhere. Even you go to cinema, your boss will know. It doesn't work that way. It only takes what you submit. So we actually fine-tune everything to make sure everyone is happy, because if your colleagues, if your team isn't happy, you won't be able to get a good team running. Everything can be real time. So using the app, they can take photos, they can upload all the details of the jobs, so you can make sure that everything is done according to your needs. This is something that a lot of times we want to mention, because we're talking about digitalization. It's no longer just enough when you can key in the data. The system should be able to tell you, for example, if a job is overdue, escalate to the manager. If a contract or tender is expiring tomorrow, escalate to maybe the sales director. Or maybe if a project is has been ended for a long time already, let the engineer know to do something. We can do all this to make sure that basically it's like having an extra secretary inside a company for every single employee to make sure that things are done well. Yeah? So imagine, instead of you chasing people, the system will help you to actually remind people to do things. That's why the machine keeps on turning and you continue to run your business well. We've moved on to all this as well. Sometimes for Malaysian, you can think about this. Now everyone uses MySejahtera. Imagine sticking a QR code on all your machines, and when people scan it, immediately you know who scanned it, who needs service, and they can actually do something about it. This is another sample to share with you on field service. Quality control. A lot of people say that, you don't know what's happening. Why work is taking so long? The quality is not good. Well, quality is not good sometimes because your team is so busy rushing to so many sites. They can't finish everything. But what we can do is we can ensure that, okay, we know you're rushing, but can you make sure before you move on to the next job, I need to see that you've done these few things for me. Before you move on, please actually take a photo for us, show before service, because we need to show to our clients how terrible the machine was before servicing. And after you finish servicing, take a photo, show so that the clients can see that, oh, you've done such a good job. And finally, you check out. So all these things can actually help to make sure that your SOP and your ISO compliance can be there to make sure that customers are happy. Okay. There's a lot more that they can do. We can get your customers to do rating, signature. Right? I won't go through all these details with you. It's too much already. Right? But the idea is this: no matter where you are, you can actually know what's happening to your business. And your business can run on autopilot, because as a CEO of a company, you cannot have a mindset to know that you are there forever. One day you retire. One day, perhaps you want to sell the company. One day you want to grow, you need someone to do it. So these systems can help you to get information like this. If you want to ask, which are the top 5 customers that have breakdown this month? I need to get my salespeople, or I myself must give them a call and maybe apologize to them or try to help them to solve the situation. We can give you the information. Which are the top 5 customers that break down? Which are the jobs that overdue? Why are you getting only 4-star rating as a 5-star rating? You can give you a lot more. Okay? The idea is, no matter where you are, you can have dashboards like this or metrics like this to let you know a lot more about business. And if you ask for a salesperson or admin to do this, it's quite impossible for them to generate this. But because if you actually digitalize your business, all these are possible and everybody benefits. Now, so I'll just finally just one last feature to share with you. If you want to increase your sales, you can actually use these items as well. You can automatically send SMS to your clients. We're actually having a tie-up with one of the telcos in Malaysia to actually motivate and let them know. For example, perhaps if you service it now, you get some discount. Send a voucher for your company's anniversary. Greetings for Chinese New Year, Hari Raya, and so on and so forth. And these are all automated. You don't need help, so we can do a lot more. But the idea is this: who should digitize? The answer is, if you want to digitize your company, if you're looking to transform your company, please make sure you need to be mindful of what you need to prepare for. First one, you should be a person that wants to grow your company. You should be ready for change, and you need to be able to commit at least 6 months to see result, because it's not just pay money and get result. You need to, it's a change management. The whole company must change. And most of the time we tell them, if you want to grow, you should have maybe a team size of 10, or you're facing talent issues, or you want to grow. So if you're looking to grow, then you need a system, because as we said just now, it takes a great team with the right tools to actually win and retain your customers. So the whole thing, there's so many things to do. What should we do? The answer is, always remember the Pareto principle. Don't try to boil the ocean. Just focus on what's important to you. Maybe for you, what's important now is the testing commissioning is not done well. Always after that, still got problem. Focus on this, which means that if you can solve 20% of your problem, it's very good already. And after that, only tackle the next one and the next one. You don't need to solve everything together, because it's a process. Yeah, it's a process, and all companies grow through a process. So always make sure that you have this type of workflows, all this. Your consultants need to help you to prepare some things like this, and so that when your champions for your systems leave the company, the system must still be able to run. So these are workflows and things are prepared to make sure that it actually fits into your needs instead of you fitting into the system itself. Yeah. So a good system really can do many things for you, right? In fact, this is one of the stats from Forbes earlier. It's an average of 560% return for every $1 spent on a business management solution. So if you're willing to spend 1 ringgit on a system, based on what Forbes research come out with, is it should be able to give you at least 5.6 ringgit back. What's not to do, right? So, but you need to put in an effort and have some time to commit to let it be done as well. Yeah. So we have done this for many different customers, but we want to share with this. Whether companies are big or small, everybody starts somewhere, and you just need to make sure that you put in effort, right? Because if you want to build a company, you cannot depend on you. You cannot be Iron Man, one man army. You need to have a team that's capable to help you. And this system can help you to make sure that everything runs well, and you sit at the control center to make sure that everything is going according to what you want. So I like to end by just saying again, it takes talent to win deals, but it takes a great team with the right tools to retain customers. And that is the essence of field service. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, John, for that wonderful presentation. I'm going to take back the screen, okay? And I'm just going to go back to where I left off.
Sure.
Okay, I think that, you know, what John has brought us was basically, you know, he has shown us that given the technology and the technological changes, you know, now there is actually an easier way, a shortcut, you know, that's hence the name of the webinar today, you know, a shortcut to kickstart the field service management journey. You know, it could actually bypass quite a number of the earlier challenges as mentioned by Mr. P.S. Lee. You know, it is not a magic bullet. It doesn't solve all your problem in one bite, but it certainly helps. You know, and I like John's example where I talk about My Sejahtera. You know, today I think that all of us are very sensitized to the My Sejahtera. You know, you need to check in, you need to check out, but really I think that the use of some of the type of solution is as simple as that. You know, you only need a handphone. The user only needs a handphone, and the check-in, check-out process is actually very similar to actually the My Sejahtera. And in fact, I understand from my earlier discussion with John that you could even assign, for example, QR code to individual machines that you need to attend to. So when you scan the QR code, you don't need to enter the serial number of the machine. You don't need to enter when it was it last service and so on. And from your phone, basically, you can actually get access to the service history. You know what parts was last changed. So you don't actually have to. One very common complaint that we've got was that, when I send my car to the service, somebody will say that, oh, I changed the aircon filter for you as well. I said that, but the last service, you just changed the aircon filter. It cost me a lot of money. It's not due yet. Oh, is that so? But sorry, I've done already. And those type of things create a lot of stress. So I think that as what John has illustrated, with the modern sort of application, it is actually possible for us to streamline a lot of this. And, a good user's experience definitely will actually enhance your service excellence. Okay. Now, that brings us to the end of the presentation. But I think that, if you have got any question, please type in your question. But in the meantime, I would actually try to prompt and ask some of the common questions that we anticipate. So maybe the first question, I would like to actually direct it to Mr. P.S. Lee, and in terms of your ITAS Group's experience, after you introduce the FSM, do you find that, there is a correlationship between that and your customer satisfaction? Do you find that, there is actually an improvement in the customer's satisfaction? That's one. I will ask all the three questions and then Mr. Lee can answer. The second question I've got here is that, is there any noticeable impact, to your better utilize your human and your physical asset, when you implemented, after you implemented the field service sort of a system? One of the complaints that we got is that I keep on buying tools. Every time I seem to be buying tools, but every time I buy the tools, and they say it's missing, or they say, oh, somebody else left and he took away the tool. And those are the type of frustration that we continuously experience. And I think that I hope that the field service management system is able to help us to address some of those things here. And the last one is a very general question. Do you have any advice to the participant today, who are contemplating to actually get to implement, to adopt the field services management? Is there any good advice that you need to give to them? And so perhaps if I can invite Mr. P.S. Lee, you can answer the question in any order you like.
Thank you, Mr. Yoong. In fact, your question is like almost like a spontaneous, because I only see that this coming only afternoon just now. So I actually didn't prepare anything for the answer. But there's certainly in terms of we're talking about what kind of a data and the customer expectation, whether it improves. Sometimes it's a little bit challenging to quantify this. The reason is over the business is always continue to grow. As you have a bigger volume, you have a more problem. Yeah. So you tend to receive more complaints, and then so is this then it might give you a distorted feedback or the result. I thought we have applied, we have already digitalized, or we have already customized all these things, and we have already gone the field service. Why am I still having all this kind of a problem? But what I could testify is certainly the problem never ends there, but it certainly gives us the in terms of all the managers much better clarity in terms of if you are get hit, get scolded, get beaten, you know who beats you and why and how, rather than oh, okay, somebody complains, why he complains, you never know what is exactly what this is transpired. So I think these are the very important things. If we want to fix a problem, we need to know that exactly the series of the source of the problem, and then with all these things, we can actually give a better clarity in that. So I hope that indirectly I do answer certain part of the question. In fact, this is that probably part of the thing that customers are more comfortable. At least it knows that they are in a good hand, and then you know what is going on, rather than I keep calling and nobody answer me, and then I've been sending the complaint how long ago, and then and everybody who come back and asking about the same question again. I don't want to keep on explaining my problem. I need you to tell me what is the solution. So at least with that, we could to that certain extent pacify the customer better on that. So that is probably my feedback for the first one. In terms of the impact on the utilization of the human and the physical assets, that actually goes the same way. You're talking about a lot of the time you do not know where is these things and where is the other thing placed, and then a lot of time we have equipment, and then when it is new, you can tag them to this particular person. Then after that, when it's passed on, you do not know the entire history. It is actually pretty challenging. And especially when it comes to the expensive equipment, those test equipment, I think everybody would definitely have the similar kind of the problem in terms of ownership, in terms of accountability, traceability, right? And then when it goes hair wire, hey, who was the last one that you used it, and why is it never reported? All these are very common kind of a thing, right? Inclusive of a company vehicle as well. Yeah. So so with that is certainly that is when it is become traceable, it become clearer. Everybody will tend to be more mindful when you come to the utilization and take ownership of the equipment. So that is the one very clear advantage when things are actually set into that. So that is my feedback for your second one. Do I have any advice? I just certainly do not have any advice. I'm just sharing our experience. So on the adoption of this FSM, honestly, we are doing our baby steps, and we're still continue to learn. But we certainly believe that if we do not work on anything on these things, it will become obsolete. We will become obsolete. So for us, it is paramount for us to get ourselves into the system. That probably maybe small point is sometimes everybody think that you got to deploy in a very large scale, got to invest a couple of 100,000 or millions into that. I personally certainly don't think so, as is what John has mentioned, that identify the pain point and see if we can actually feel the momentum of it. Be that it's a certain kind of application that you can see the benefit out of it. Then the staff will come to you and say, I want it, right? Can you actually integrate with this one, integrate with that one? And then, well, you see that if you deploy the system that the staff want it can't be too much wrong. But if you are the one going to shove it down their throat, majority of the time that it won't work, right? I hope that answered that. Thanks.
Oh, certainly you did, Mr. Lee. I think that it is very good. My takeaway from your answer is that, yeah, while field service is not a magic bullet that solves all your problem, but it certainly helps in the sense that, it gives you the transparency. It allows you, to manage business better as you are growing in terms of scale, and in terms of management of both your resources, whether it's human, whether it's asset, and so on and so forth. It introduced better transparency. It also introduced more timeliness, and hence, it allows you to make management decision. And so obviously what follows is that you're more effective in terms of addressing some of the solution. In fact, I noticed that from the participation list, that the participants list rather, I have a mutual friend in there, who is actually involved with the supply of capital goods, to mission critical application, things like emergency gensets, for example. A lot of companies and buildings and all those things that rely on things like gensets and all those things, they can't afford it for it to fail. So what happened is that with the field service type of, as what John has elaborated, it actually gives you another opportunity. It gives you an opportunity to keep track of the service requirement. That is one thing that John has already presented. They give you alert, they give you reminder. But the other thing is, as John kept mentioning, the team built to keep the customer. And what happens is that if the customer sticks to you, then your value that you can derive from that customer relationship is actually quite significant. A lot of the time, in fact, I'm sure that a lot of our participants here, you have got the experience, you buy your car, and these days, more and more car companies are actually offering so-called extended services, extended warranty. Some extend to 4 years, 5 years, 6 years even. Are the car companies very generous, and all of a sudden they actually wanted to just give you the better warranty? Actually, the answer is they want to lock you in, in terms of the service, and they lock you in and they derive the value from the supply and continue to service you over the period of time. It's a win-win situation. So all this becomes possible if you've got a system, if you've got a process to do so, aided by the sort of applications such as the field service. What I'll do is I'll pass on to John. John, I think that I'm going to ask the obvious question. The solution looks quite impressive, but it's very expensive, very difficult for me to get started. I do not have a dedicated IT support in my business, and my IT is quite maybe not quite up to date. Is it possible for me to make use of the FSM? And the last question, which is something which is close to my heart, is that what do you consider to be the single most important factor, for a successful deployment of a FSM? Maybe we'll get some of your insight, please, John.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Yoong. All right, so 3 questions over here. First one is, if I don't have a large IT operation, can I actually use a system like this? Will it cost me a bomb, and can I actually run the system? The answer is the system that we have is built for SMEs in Malaysia. So in fact, it's definitely very affordable. And I will share with you, the system will pay for itself, because as I shared just now, for every 1 ringgit you put in, you should be able to get at least 5.6 back. In fact, we have this promise we give to the customer. For every 1 ringgit put in, you should get back at least 4 ringgit. So it's something that we have, and we hold closely. We even provide a money back guarantee to our customers, a 30-day money back guarantee. So if you're not happy, you can just get a refund as well. So that's the first thing. The cost-wise is all based on what features you need. So what you need. So that's why I said you can always start small and slowly grow. Because if you see value and if it's a good investment, why not, right? Now, the other last question that Mr. Yoong was asking is, what is the most important factor for a successful deployment? I think the answer is really the management needs to have this drive to say that they really want to do it. The commitment is very important. I've seen customers where the management is eager to implement, but the team is not ready. The team says that I'm so busy, I got so many things to do. How can you actually ask me to do more? So there must be a streamlining, and both parties must say yes to it. And you need to find ways. That's why we always say that you don't go out to buy software. You need to actually get a good team to support you, because a software is stagnant. This is what you get, but perhaps, and in fact, I can share with you, in 2 months, 3 months, 1 year, 3 years time, your solution, the needs that you have will grow. So the team that is behind the software must grow together with you. They must be able to say that they want to actually support you and they are actually focused on this. So for us, for example, we don't do anything else. We only do this one solution because the needs is just tremendous. There's always different things happening. So if you want to be successful, make sure that you are ready to commit time and your whole team wants to grow. Maybe one tip you can do is maybe you can align the KPIs of your employees, of your staff, to the success of the company. Because when you have a system like this, the performance of all of the employees are visible. How many jobs completed, how many defects after they fix, and so on and so forth. So with that, you can use it for your KPI, for your HR purposes in the future. And this can maybe help you all on the long run as well. Hope that helps.
Yeah, thank you, John. So I just recap a little bit what you just said, John. I think that the your comment about don't necessarily have to buy the software, because I think that for the experience that Mr. P.S. Lee has mentioned a little bit earlier, and when you have got updates in terms of your operating system, whether it's iOS, whether it's Android, whether it is Windows, or whatever it is, if you buy the software, then every time you have got an update, then you face a situation where you have to try to catch up. But I think that what you are doing here is that you are actually providing a solution at a sort of a continuous update basis, on a subscription basis. Basically, you subscribe to a service whereby the update and all those things are taken care of at your end. Am I correct?
Yes, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, so that take away a lot of the questions, a lot of the anxiety about whether the software is going to be obsolete. And the other thing is that this one is based on a user's basis. So, depending on what you want to use it for, you can start small, as you show in that big circle that you talk about. You may want to start off with one small bits, and then when you find that you're comfortable, when you find that they actually give you the benefit, then you can start to add more things to these things, so that it means that it is also scalable. Is that a fair comment?
Yeah, absolutely, Mr. Yoong. I think you hit the nail on its head. In fact, the other part that I can't overemphasize is, you see, a lot of times in Malaysian context, a lot of people think that, oh, software I thought is free one. Number one, it's supposed to be free. The second one is software I thought just buy can already. But because the system keep on evolving, like you said, iPhone, and in fact, do you know how many Android phones models are there in the whole world? There's, I think, thousands of them. So what we do is there's a lot of work to make sure that all these are always tip-top, meaning that no matter what you use, the system can run. Because if we actually ask SMEs in Malaysia to say that you must buy this phone, only then the system will work, then it doesn't work. It's too costly. That's why it's also good that the government has stepped in, to deal with this question that Mr. Yoong asking about. How can we reduce the cost? So currently the government actually under MDEC is giving a grant to all companies of 5,000 ringgit to digitize. So in a way, 5,000 ringgit is paid by the company, paid by the government already. So it saved quite a bit as well.
Good. So in other words, there are some assistance available through the government, for those companies who qualify or who wants to get to adopt some of this type of system, and so at least they can get their hands on it and get some hands-on experience to see for themselves whether it actually helped them in terms of their business or not. Correct or not?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that thank you both the gentlemen, both Mr. Lees, for your input and for your very good answers. I think that in summary, I would like to say that for the FSM, we know that customer service is important. We know that customer service and good customer service can actually deliver value to enhance the profitability of a business. It reduces the anxiety, it reduces the instances of dispute with the customer, which can only be a good thing. We don't want customers to shout at us. And now, with the sort of technology, the modern technology, you can actually make a start that is suitable for your company, that you're comfortable with, and I think that one of the important takeaway here is that you cannot delegate the decision or something like this to your accounts manager or to your service manager or whoever it is. I think that it has got to be driven both that, in other words, the buy-in need to be at the highest level of the company, and it need to be promoted, to be sold to the whole company, to the whole team. As John, you've been mentioning, on numerous occasions, it is actually the team that delivers the result. So I think that, this is really the key points that I want to emphasize. Solutions are available. It can help. There are some assistance available, some modest assistance, but nevertheless, something is better than nothing. And it is not that difficult to get started, with the field service. And a field service, if it is managed well, actually one of the areas that I find that is actually very attractive is that it will improve the morale of your workforce. In fact, I'm one of the companies that we have dealing with overseas. This is not in Malaysia. This is overseas in Europe. Actually, what they have done was that they've taken field service to its I would say to its limit. What they have done is that they actually leverage on the field service, and their technician, as part of the retention strategy, that technician now becomes individual cost and profit center by itself. It means that they are now their own business. They own their own business. They work on a profit sharing basis, leveraging on a field service sort of application, because it gives them that visibility and the necessary data to allow them to operate. If you like, the technician, he works, it's like a franchisor. He works for the company, but he is really sharing the gain from the work that he does. I mean, that is the ultimate, but the thing is, it shows that it is possible, okay? Because in this instance, it is a company that is actually servicing, all the municipal councils, equipment to the municipal councils. And so they're dotted all over the place. So in order to do that, they find that the people are on the move all the time. And so it's actually very difficult for them to catch up and find out what's been happening, even the documentation, the invoicing, and so on. So they say that, okay, you do all the invoicing, you do the collection, and we do the monitoring through a field service management type of a system. So, I mean, that is ideal eventually, but I just want to share that, it is possible. That's why we believe that something like this will be of great benefit to Malaysian companies, and we hope that you find that there is reason to get on board. I just like to check whether, anybody or anyone in the participant, Raman, do we have any participant that's sending question and say that they would like to have some of the question that has not been addressed already?
No, they appreciate all our speakers here. Yeah, thank you, all of you.
Okay. So if there is no other points to make, I would just like to check, Mr. P.S. Lee, any last words, or Mr. John, any last words that you'd like to say before we say bye-bye to our participants?
Thank you, Mr. Yoong. I've just put into the chat, all this system is just to actually enhance our operation. The most important thing is it cannot replace the human connection. So stay connected between the human. Right.
Agreed. Well said, Mr. Lee. Okay. John, any comments, any parting words?
Yeah, perhaps the same thing. Last time, it takes talents to win deals, but it takes a great team with the right tools to retain customers. So you need to help your team to actually do well as well.
Yeah. Okay, if there's nothing else, I would thank all of you, especially to our speaker and our host, MPC, for making this event today possible. And of course, the biggest thanks must go out to the participants, who take time off to come and at least participate in this particular event, for us to share some of our views. We hope that there are some positive takeaway. We hope that it is of some help to your business, And certainly, if you feel that in any area where we could be of some assistance, I think that you have got the access to the MPC through Angel Raman. who is actually, who has been the pillar behind getting all these things organized and set up and so on and so forth. Thank you, Raman. So Raman, if anybody want to reach out, can you give them your, can you give your contact or at least the details to them?
Yes, I will share my detail in my thank you note. You can contact me through the thank you note.
Okay. So if nothing else, I would say that thank you, and we will catch up in the next event. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.